Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do a quick review on what I found on Amazon. This is the cheapest Android Auto Apple CarPlay head unit that I found with a CD and DVD player. And when I purchased this unit, it was $59. I had to do it. It's installed in this car that I got for free. So it was part of a budget build sort of deal that I'm doing. But yeah, I'd like to talk today about the Camecho MP-1062, go over kind of some of the features. And I've had this installed for about 5-6 months now, so you get an idea of how reliability is and just how everything works over time. So let's jump right into it. You can see I've got my Android Auto interface pulled up right now, and I've got all my common apps. I've got my maps down here and YouTube music, and I can go into my phone screen, and I mean, it works exactly how it should. There's nothing about this that doesn't work like it shouldn't. You do also have the option of screen mirroring if you so choose. I prefer to just run the Android Auto. But yeah, the CD DVD player works. I kind of won't show the features of that today because this is just a review, but the DVD player works. It's tied to your parking brake, so you have to have the parking brake down in order to use that feature, or just ground the parking brake cable if you want to be one of those dummies that wants to roll down the road while watching a DVD. I wouldn't recommend it, but so some of the pros of this, here, let's go. I mean, this is the screen. It's fairly responsive for what it is. I mean, for the price, $59, remember. We'll go into setup and we'll look at some of the audio features here. Okay, so it comes with digital signal processing, and digital signal processing is on. And that's kind of a vague term if you don't know what the features are. So we go into the EQ here, and we have a 16-band equalizer. We have 8 bands right here, and then we have 8 more if we press this button over here to scroll. One of the goofier things that I found is that the first band of EQ is at 100 hertz. Normally, what you'll see is somewhere in the realm of like 30 to 40 hertz, maybe even 60, 65 hertz is where that first EQ band comes in. 100 is kind of high for setting that low bass frequency. That's a little funky, but there is a bit of a workaround for that. Another thing to mention is that for $59, you also get a backup camera included with the camera. There is a microphone that I have kind of just sitting down here under my steering column for if I'm making hands-free calls. And then all your digital signal processing features. You got your V-Bass here, which is essentially your bass boost. And the neat thing about this is I can set this anywhere between, let's see, 0 hertz to 200 hertz, and I have this set about 65. That seems to be, with my system, the best place for it. Obviously your mileage may vary. Typical bass boost is going to be set somewhere between 40 to 80 hertz, but I do think it's pretty nice, especially considering that first EQ band is set at 100 hertz. I think it's nice that they give you the option to independently select where you're going to have your bass boost. Now, you cannot knock that down. Like, the gain is either set at 0 or you can make it go up, and that more or less gives you one more band of equalization, which is nice. But if you need to, like I said, reduce the bass, that's not really going to work for you. You have your loudness control here, and again, it's selectable. You can either do 400 hertz, where the loudness peak is 800, or 2400. I have it set to 2400 because in the EQ there is no 2400. So again, it's like it's giving me an actual 18-band equalizer almost. I like as many EQ bands as possible because I like a nice flat frequency response across the board. we're getting some glare here. Not a huge fan. But the glare, honestly, is not really that bad. I just have the sun shining in my face right now. One of the cons of this unit, because I have a subwoofer wired up here. It's just an underseat unit. And the subwoofer came with a low-pass crossover. But in this unit, despite all its features, you do not have... you do have a high pass and a low pass crossover, excuse me. But the thing about it is, if you set the high pass crossover through the subwoofer channel, it'll also cut the frequency there. So I essentially have to have full range run into my speakers, which worries me a little bit, but it's just something to kind of take note of, a con of the unit. On top of that, the subwoofer channel is not 2 RCA jacks. I have low-level inputs into the subwoofer, and so I had to fashion up a splitter much like this one. You can also buy these, but just know that's an additional purchase. I work in an audio shop, so I was able to use spare parts and kind of make something like this, and it works great. But if you do not use one of these, you're only going to have one channel of bass. You're either going to have your left or your right. Just get one of these so you can get full voltage to your subwoofer, as much as this will put out. And this says it puts out 3 volts out the RCAs, and from all my testing, that appears to be accurate. What I would say is not accurate is on the box. I believe it said 60 watts of max power. I don't believe that at all. I would say probably 45 to 50 watts of max power. And then with my oscilloscope, I have measured about 13, 14 watts RMS, which is not terrible. Pioneers out the box make 14 watts RMS, and some duals make 11 watts RMS. If you get something like a JVC or a Kenwood, you're looking at 20 to 22 watts RMS, so they do put out a little bit more power. But you're not going to be dissatisfied with the amount of power that you're getting out of this head unit. Something else that's kind of funky that I want to mention, anywhere up to 25, it will save the volume when you turn off the car. But as soon as you go 26, 27, 28, etc., you shut off the car and you come back, it will knock that volume down to 15. Kind of a funky feature. So I usually just leave it set at 25. It's sufficiently loud. And again, I have an oscilloscope, and I tested the clipping point of the head unit. For those who need to know, depending on the voltage, it's either 32, 33, or 34, which is pretty decent. They say that the average head unit should clip at about 75% of its maximum volume. This one goes all the way up to 40. So setting it at 34 and adjusting my gains from there, I'll never turn it past 34, and it's nice and loud. I don't have a problem with it. But yeah, I mean, you got your radio. You can connect a USB device. I believe that's more just like a flash drive, but it, like I said, anyone has an iPhone or an Android at this point. So just use the wired Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. It works great. I've tested this on an iPhone as well, and it works pretty seamlessly. It's pretty responsive. I've had this for 5-6 months again, and I really haven't had an issue. So if you're looking at something in this price range, it does seem to be a good buy. There are some quirks, of course, but if it's something you're willing to deal with, if you're not adding a subwoofer to your system, for example, and you just need something cheap that's modern, this will do great. This puts out a decent, clean signal for most of its volume range, and has a buttload of features that you would normally be paying 3, 4, 5 times the price for at a big box store. So it does get my recommendation. And thank you for watching. I hope this video was informative.